Happy World Book Day, everybody! It is one of my favourite days in the school year, World Book Day, because we get to celebrate my favourite thing. And as you can see behind me, I have so many books that I love to read. This is just one of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I've got about 10 bookcases in my house, and this is just a few of the ones that you can see behind me. And I love reading books. I love reading all kinds of books, storybooks, but also fact books, non-fiction books. And I know that lots of your teachers today are sharing books with you that are stories that have a hero or heroine in them. But I wanted to share with you a non-fiction book that is also about heroes and heroines. It's actually called Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. It is a book all about people who have been brave. People who have done amazing things that have changed the world, and they have started off as just normal everyday people like you and I, going to school, working with their families, living with their families, doing normal jobs, and because of a skill that they develop or a talent that they have or an interest that they find, they've gone on to do something special. You might notice that this book, as I said, was called Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. It is about female heroes, heroines, people who have done unusual things that are girls. The reason that a book like this had to be written was because, and I know you probably wouldn't believe it nowadays, but because in the past, girls were not given the same rights as boys to do things. So the main job that girls could have was to get married and have a baby. And obviously that's a really important job, but it was the only job they used to have. Or they had to do something that was like cleaning. Now, some people still choose to clean, but it was the fact that it was their only choice. As a teacher, I would have had to give up my job when I got married. So girls didn't get to do as much as they do now. And so the stories in this book about people who've done amazing things are women, girls, who have been brave enough to try and do something a bit different to the rest of their girls. Now, the first story I'm going to read you, or the first, it's not a story because it's factual, is a biography of a lady called, and I know the writing's back to front because it's on the camera, but you can just see the picture, Ada Lovelace. Now, you might think that you're really not interested in her because she looks like she's from the olden days. She was born in 1815, so over 200 years ago. So why is she of interest to us? Why is she a hero? Well, she wrote the first computer program in history. Without her, we wouldn't have all your favourite games that you like to play, Fortnite, all the other stuff on your PlayStations, Roadblocks, all of those kinds of things. This lady, Ada Lovelace, is a hero because she was brave enough to learn maths and science and then to make computer programs. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Ada who loved machines. She also loved the idea of flying. She studied birds to work out the perfect balance between wing size and body weight. She tested out materials and tried out several designs. She never managed, though, to soar like a bird, but instead she created a beautiful book full of drawings called Flyology, where she recorded all her findings. One night, Ada went to a ball. There she met a grumpy old mathematician called Charles Babbage. Ada was a brilliant mathematician herself, and the two soon became friends. Charles invited Ada to see a machine he had invented. He called it the difference machine. It could automatically add and subtract numbers, a bit like a calculator does now. No one had ever done that before. Ada was hooked. What if we built a machine that could make more complicated calculations, she said, excited. Ada and Charles started working. The machine was huge and it required an enormous steam engine. Ada wanted to go further. What if this machine could play music and show letters as well as numbers? She was describing what we now know as a computer, way before modern computers were invented. Ada wrote the first computer program in history. Without her, all the computer programs we have now would not exist. Isn't that amazing? She just loved studying maths at school. She happened to find a friend called Charles who also loved it, and together they put their heads together and they made the first computer program. In this book, there are so many different stories like that of people who have done amazing things, and I'm going to read you through a couple more. This is a great book. This one is Amelia Earhart. She was the first lady to fly around the world in a plane. Once upon a time, a girl called Amelia saved enough money to buy a yellow airplane. She called it the Canary. A few years later, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. It was a dangerous flight. Her tiny plane was tossed around by strong winds and icy storms. She kept herself going with a can of tomato juice sucked through a straw. After almost 15 hours, she touched down in a field in Northern Ireland, much to the surprise of the cows. "Have you come far?" the farmer asked her. "All the way from America," she laughed. Amelia loved to fly, and she loved to do things no one had ever done before. Her biggest challenge was to be the first woman to fly around the world. She could only take a very small bag, as all the space in the plane had to be used for fuel. Her long flight was going well. She was supposed to land on a tiny island, but she never got there. In her last transmission, Amelia said she was flying through clouds and was running low on fuel. Her plane disappeared somewhere over the Pacific Ocean and was never found. Before leaving, she wrote, "I am aware of the hazards. I want to do it because I want to do it. Women must try to do the same thing that men have tried. If they fail, their failure must be a challenge and inspiration to others." Now we have women flying planes in the RAF and in all the companies that fly people on holiday. But that wasn't the case before. We've got some other inventors in the book. We've got some writers, some painters, people who ride motorbikes and have won records, people who have written stories. This is another one I'm going to share. This one is about a lady called Astrid Lindgren. Once upon a time, there's a girl who lived on a farm with her big family. She would spend entire days roaming free in the fields with her brothers and sisters, but she also helped take care of the farm animals. Not just the small ones like chickens and ducks, but the big ones like cows and horses. Her name was Astrid, and she was rebellious. She was strong, brave, never scared of being alone, and she could do all sorts of things. Clean, cook, fix a bike, walk along rooftops, fight off bullies, make up fantastic stories. If you've ever read about another little girl who was strong, brave and fearless, called Pippi Longstocking, you won't be surprised to learn that Astrid was the author of that brilliant book. When Pippi Longstocking was published, lots of adults disapproved. "Pippi is too rebellious," they said. "Our children will think being disobedient is okay." Children, on the other hand, absolutely loved it. Pippi didn't just say no without any reason. She showed readers the importance of being independent while caring for others. Today, Pippi Longstocking is one of the best-loved books in children's literature. Astrid went on to publish and write many more books, always depicting young children in charge of their own adventures. I wanted to leave you with that one because you are in charge of your own adventures. You can make dreams come true. You can make whatever you want to be happen in your life. You can be an everyday hero. You're sitting at home now learning, or in your classroom today learning, and your future is ahead of you. Like all the people in this book who grew up just like normal people doing normal things, and because they tried something, because they were brave enough, they became heroes and heroines. That could be you. I'm proud of you. Enjoy World Book Day.